from the National News Studio, Sri Lanka.
National News. We are coming to you live from the National News Studio of Rupavahini. Together with me is Stefan Dialis and Dulanjali Ananda. And these are the top stories which are making headlines tonight. Prices of goods rise with the increase of world oil prices. Sri Lanka affected by global inflation. Russian forces move closer to Kyiv. The President instructs to pay attention to get more employment opportunities for skilled workers in the foreign job market. The subject State Minister says there is no shortage of medicine. The US emphasizes North Korea's ballistic missiles are a threat to world peace. Now, still the headlines are being made about the Russian and Ukraine conflict, and in complication with the sanctions that have been imposed on Russia is the complication about the price hike in oil. And to discuss further, we have with us the senior journalist and international news analyst, Mr. Prasad Dadangode with us. Welcome on board, sir. So what is it like about the hike which is we're seeing in the oil prices?
Of course, Dulanjali, now we can see soaring oil prices have wreaked an economic havoc in many countries. Today we saw the US inflation rate in the United States of America jumped up to 7.9%, and that was the highest figure, year-to-year basis figure reported since 1982, and that figure was 7.5% higher than the last year's figure. So we can imagine situation, because now we know that US oil, the petroleum consumers, they pay highest petroleum rates per gallon, because before this crisis they brought a gallon of petrol around more than $2. Now it's more than $4, double prices. And in Britain we saw the inflation rate past 5.5% mark. And especially the British fuel consumers are also suffering due to this very high and unbearable energy, especially the petroleum prices and other energy sources as well, because this whole scenario, we can assume that this scenario is pushing the whole world into a big economic crisis. And Dulanjali, now today is Friday, we saw when we consider the global oil markets, we saw the most wildest behavior of oil markets this week, because on Monday prices rose up to $140. Then on Tuesday it was settled near somewhere 115 to 110. Then on Wednesday it dropped to 106, and Thursday it rose more than 111, and today prices were hovering near $110 per barrel. So we saw a lot of fluctuations, but these fluctuations we see above $100 mark. That means oil prices are still very high and very, it's unbearable for the global economy. So this situation has created a disaster in many countries, because now due to the higher oil prices, other prices of other energy sources are also going up, and we saw higher coal prices, because some countries now they are trying to resume their power generations using coal, because some countries they have already abandoned coal, but now they are moving towards coal once again.
Different options they are looking forward for.
Because of this situation. And gas prices, natural gas prices, and both LP gas prices soaring once again. So we could see a very volatile energy market these days, mainly due to the very high oil prices reported in the world market.
which is initiated because of the sanctions.
The main reason
Starting
behind
from
now, the current main reason behind this scenario is war in Ukraine and oil embargo on Russia. But even before that, since when we consider the situation, the last quarter of 2021, we saw there was a demand at the end of the COVID-19 pandemic. A sudden demand was created, but the global oil producers were not ready to supply or to cater that demand. That's the beginning of this crisis, and the Ukrainian issue only worsened that situation.
So that's the global perspective, but surely this is having a great impact on the local economy as well. Thank you very much, Mr. Prasad, for joining us, our senior journalist and international news analyst. So, as I told, from the global perspective to the current local perspective, which we are experiencing as individuals, the prices have been increasing. So IOC has indicated the price increase since yesterday midnight, and by that, the 75 is the price increase of diesel, while 50 rupees for a petrol litre.
Yes, Dulanjali, Lanka IOC company has increased oil prices from midnight yesterday. A price of a litre of diesel has been increased by 75 rupees and a litre of petrol by 50 rupees. A litre of 92 octane petrol, which was 204 rupees, has been increased to 254 rupees, and a litre of 95 octane petrol, which was 233 rupees, has been increased to 283 rupees. New price of a litre of Euro 3 petrol is 263 rupees. It was 213 rupees earlier. A litre of auto diesel, which was 139 rupees, has been increased to 214, while a litre of super diesel, which was 174 rupees, has been increased to 249 rupees. A litre of extra mile diesel has been increased from 145 rupees to 220 rupees. The company said depreciation of the rupee to dollar led to the price changes. Petroleum Corporation has not increased oil prices so far. Unloading of the gas in 2 ships with 7,000 metric tons of gas has commenced. Chairman of the Lighter Gas Company, Tashara Jai Singha, said that production and distribution of gas commenced from this morning. The 2 ships were on anchor on Keravalapitia, Hendala coastal line for several days due to payment problems. The Lighter chairman said the gas ships were released after solving the problem. Meanwhile, Lighter Gas Company said 120,000 gas cylinders were issued to the market today. With the distribution of gas throughout the country, people were seen in queues to purchase gas. Public Utilities Commission said that power interruption took place island-wide today under 20 zones. Accordingly, power was disconnected from 8 AM to 6 PM for 2.5 hours in A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K and L zones. The Commission said 1 hour, 15-minute power interruption has been imposed from 6 to 11 PM. Apart from that, power will be disconnected from 5 AM to 11 PM in P, Q, R, S, T, U, V and W zones. Price of wheat flour has been increased with effect from tonight. All Ceylon Bakery Owners Association held a media briefing with the increase of bakery products.
Now, as we have been updating you on the latest situation of the Ukraine-Russia conflict, yes, Russia is getting closer to Kyiv as we get to know the reports reported from international media. And also, it's not just the conflict, the sanctions, and also the humanitarian attempts, the speeches, or rather the discussions that they have attempted have not been successful.
That's right, Dulanjali. As you correctly said, foreign media reports says that Russian forces have moved closer to Kiev. U.S. security authorities says there is less than 5 kilometers for them to enter Kiev. Meanwhile, for the first time, Facebook has changed its company policies. It has given the opportunity for the users to publish slogans against Russia. Clashes are taking place between the 2 parties. Foreign reports say that Ukraine forces are A discussion between Russian and Ukraine foreign ministers took place in Turkey yesterday. Ukraine said they were not able to sign a peace agreement. Ukraine Foreign Minister has said that Russian demands cannot be accepted. The Russian Foreign Minister said that the fights are taking place as planned. More than 2.3 million have fled the country due to the crisis in Ukraine. Facebook and Instagram have temporarily changed their policies earlier. They did not allow to publish violent slogans in them. However, company officials have taken steps to change the policies considering the present crisis. Accordingly, opportunity has been given to publish slogans against Russia in Facebook and Instagram from today. However, people who raised their voice for peace have condemned the decision. The Ukraine Internal Affairs Ministry says that the more than 4 million Ukrainians have been evacuated from cities. However, evacuation in Mariupol city is not taking place as planned. It is 16 days since the commencement of Russian-Ukraine war. One person has died following air attacks on Dnipro town in Ukraine. A major attack has been launched at Ivalo franchise town. The Russian forces announced that strategically important Volnovakha town was taken over.
Now on news back at home, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has instructed officials of the Foreign Employment Bureau to pay attention to get more employment opportunities for skilled workers in the foreign job market. The President pointed out that skilled immigrant workers will get a higher salary and protection of the employment. The President mentioned this when he made an inspection tour of Sri Lanka Foreign Employment Bureau on Koswatta Densil Bagadu Amawata in Battaramulla this morning. Employers and job agents are facing problems to find efficient and skilled workers. Sri Lanka has become renowned for talented, honest and skilled workers. Sri Lanka has skilled workers in many fields including medical, engineering, accountancy, architecture, teaching, law, banking, hotels and restaurants, nursing and IT. The President paid his attention on the progress achieved by the Bureau on the national program to send vocational and skilled workers for foreign employment. The President paid a special attention on the steps taken to solve problems speedily about the security and at workplaces of immigrant workers.
labor යවන්න වැඩි effort එකක් දාන්න ඕනේ. ඒක trend එක හවුනොත් ඊට පස්සේ focus වෙනවා.
The President inquired from the officials whether licensed foreign job agencies are performing their duties properly. 2,832 cases have been filed against agencies and persons who have violated Foreign Employment Bureau Act. The President instructed to blacklist them immediately and to implement the laws. The President also paid his attention on the 24-hour information service which provides information to immigrant workers and to inquire about their problems.
ප්‍රොවිෂන් එකක් තියෙනවා කැන්සල් කරන්න කියලා සර්. මම හැම වෙලාවෙම ඉන්සිස්ට් කරා එහෙම කරපු හැටි උනා ඒ ලීගල් ප්‍රොෆෙෂන් එක අනුව ඒජන්ට්ස් ලගේ ලයිසන්ස් කැන්සල් කරන්න කියලා. එතකොට ඔය වැඩි නතර වෙනවා. නැත්තම් ඒජන්ට්ස් නඩු වැඩගෙන යනවා අවුරුදු 10ක්. මොකද වයි නැවතත් පොර කරගෙන යනවා. ඩිසාස් ගානක් තියෙනවා. ඔය ඩිසාස් ගාන අදාළ උපරිම කැන්සල් කරලා නැහැනේ.
The President paid his attention on the steps that have been taken by the labor welfare divisions of the embassies to ensure their security and for the welfare of the immigrant workers. The President praised the steps taken by the Bureau to educate the public by conducting job markets with the participation of licensed foreign agencies. The President inspected all units at the building and exchanged views with the public who had come to get services done. A group of people including Minister Nimal Siripala de Silva, State Minister Priyankara Jayarathne, President's Chief Advisor Lalit Weeratunga, Ministry Secretaries and Chairman of the Bureau Major General Mahinda Hatrusinghe were present on the occasion.
Minister Dinesh Gunawardena says the Finance Minister will come to Parliament to reply any problems of the opposition members. He mentioned this as a reply to a question raised in Parliament by JVP MP Anura Kumara Disanayake. Parliamentarian Anura Kumara Disanayake said that the Finance Minister has to brief about the economic fluctuations in the country. Therefore, the Speaker is requested to issue an order for the Finance Minister to brief the Parliament about the prevailing economic situation. Minister Dinesh Gunawardena said that 5 hours were given yesterday about the situation related to oil. We do not ignore the question. As said, the Finance Minister arrived in Parliament. If there are further questions, request for a debate which can hold. Parliamentarian Anura Kumara Disanayaka said that if Minister Dinesh Gunawardena was in the opposition, it is doubtful as to how to question about the problem. Minister Dinesh Gunawardena said that the opposition for the last 2.5 months said that the value announced by the central bank on the dollar was wrong. When Mr. Mahinda Rajapaksa handed over the government, it was 135 rupees. When the previous government was toppled, it was 188 rupees. We request everyone to support the President and the Prime Minister during this crisis.
Minister Dallas Alahaperima says that media censorship is not the policy of present government. The minister emphasized in Parliament today that the policy of government is to regulate media without invading personal limits of citizens. Minister Dallas Alahaperima said that the relevant draft has been prepared according to cabinet decisions on 4 January in connection with the Press Council. The government hopes to proceed by holding discussions with various stakeholders about the draft bill, and even if it is prepared, it will be reconsidered with media organizations, civil organizations, and by observing how it is implemented in the developed democratic countries. Parliamentarian Gayantha Karunathilaka said that self-regulation is accepted according to media freedom and accountability. It is believed that the draft bill does not contain any outdated methodologies. Minister Dallas Alahaperima said that the present government has decided media censorship is not the policy of the present government. I am also a professional journalist who took the pen during very difficult times. At that time, we had only a ballpoint pen and undated death warrant in our pockets. However, censorship is not our policy. We have to respect freedom of expression, and it has to be protected. It has to be discussed how it should be done without invading privacy.
State Minister Channa Jayasumana says that the government has the right to control prices of medicine. The country, he said in Parliament today, the statements stating that the private sector has taken over it is totally false. State Minister Channa Jayasumana said that the legal right to control price of medicines is with the National Medicinal Drugs Regulatory Authority. With the changes of dollar prices, there were demands to increase the prices. The health minister or political authority cannot increase the prices. There is a methodology to do so. The Price Control Committee of the National Medicinal Drugs Regulatory Authority met at 12 noon today under the chairmanship of Palitha Abeykoon, which has given permission to increase prices by 29%. Importers have informed that the private sector has medicines needed by the country for 4 months. The state sector has sufficient medicine stocks for 6 months. There were certain delays when opening letters of credit for some medicines during the past 2 weeks. The Finance Minister has given the facilities to open letters of credit following the discussions with the ministry. Therefore, there will not be a shortage of medicines in the country. There was a temporary problem due to stopping of distribution and hiding medicines. The problem will be solved by the weekend. Discussions were held in the last 2 days to mete out justice for the patients. The traders point out that the expenditure on other factors such as shortage facilities has increased, and they have to pay salaries for their workers.
Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation commemorates 40 years since its inception in 1982. It's 40 long years of excellence in media and television as a pioneer. To commemorate this wonderful year, 2022, we are having a wonderful musical show organized today, taking place at Studio 3. And the patronage of Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa has been blessed.
මේ නාට්‍ය ඉතාම ජන හදවත් අතරට ගලාගෙන ගිය නාට්‍යයක් වුණා. ජනතාවගේ හදවතේ රැඳුණු 40 අවුරුද්දේ තවත් නොමැකෙන මතක සටහනක් බවට පත් වුණා. මේ ටෙලිනාට්‍ය වෙනුවෙන් අපූර්ව ගීතයක් රචනා කරනවා බණ්ඩාර ඇහැලියගොඩ ශූරින්. මේ ගීතයට සංගීත එකතු කරනවා රෝහණ වීරසිංහයන්. මේ ගීතය ගායනා කරනවා නන්දා මාලනිය. අද ඒ නන්දා මාල්නියගේ හඬින් ඇහුණු ඔබ මම බැඳගත්තේ ගීතය රංගනයකින් ඉදිරිපත් කරන්න සූදානම් බුදවත් රංගායතන ශිල්පීන්. අපි පිළිගමු මේ සියලු දෑ ඔබේ මගේ ජාතික රූපවාහිනිය.
That's the glamorous live footage we received from Studio 2 of Hadawate Hataliya. Moving on with other news, the 23rd anniversary of Young Lankan's Entrepreneur Chamber took place yesterday in Colombo under the patronage of Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa. The Young Lankan's Entrepreneurs Chamber is consisted of entrepreneurs giving prominence to nationality. It covers more than 50 Sri Lankan enterprises. The Prime Minister has attended several anniversary celebrations since the inception of the chamber. Vimuchamaka Silva was appointed as the new chairman of the chamber at the general meeting. For the next year, a group of people including former President Maithripala Sirisena, state ministers, ambassadors and former chairman of the chamber Saranga Gunawardena were present on the occasion.
Chairman of the Asian Development Bank Satsugu Asakawa says that projects implemented in the country with the assistance of ADB has achieved higher progress. During a meeting with the President yesterday, he said the Asian Development Bank will continue to support Sri Lanka's development activities. The meeting between President Gotabaya Rajapaksa and the Chairman of the Asian Development Bank took place yesterday afternoon at the Presidential Secretariat. The Chairman said that attention has been paid on small and medium-scale enterprises and to promote private enterprises. The ADB has given concessionary loans of $750 million last year. Mr. Satsugu Asakawa said that $2 billion have been allocated for the projects this year. He further said that they will support to uplift Sri Lanka's tourism industry and to develop human capital. The President thanked the ADB for giving nearly $600 million of concessionary loans assistance to minimize the impact of COVID pandemic. The President said that the assistance of the ADB is expected for green agriculture, renewable energy sources and for foreign investments in industrial zones. He said that the government aims to generate 70% of energy through renewable sources. The President requested the Asian Development Bank to support in that regard. The 55th annual conference of the bank is scheduled to be held in September in Colombo. The President appreciated selecting Sri Lanka for the event and said that full support will be given for the conference.
A consultant family physician Dr. Malkanti Galhena said that even though the number of COVID cases have seen a significant drop, the risk of getting complications from the Omicron variant is still higher among the elderly population and people in health risk categories.
Even though this, the spread of this Omicron virus is getting very much lesser among the society. That says the number of active cases are coming down, but still the people who are suffering from the chronic illnesses and the organ damages and as well as disabled, immunosuppressed people, particularly elderly people without having any other illness, are at a higher risk of getting this Omicron virus, even though their spread is becoming very much less and less. The risk of getting complications of this Omicron virus infection is still higher in this among the elderly and the aforementioned risky people like the organ damage as well as the people who are suffering with the chronic illness. So please don't be underestimate the possibility of the threatening of your life by this Omicron virus among such people. So because of that, you have to, it's a must for you all to get this vaccine without any delay, the third booster especially, and as well as complete your vaccination doses without further delay in order to prevent our lovely elderly people as well as the disease or disabled people who are living with us. We can see clearly the number of patients have gone down according to the current data of the home-based care system which is conducted by the Ministry of Health. The number of COVID patients are getting less and less compared to the last month. So it's very much obvious that the patients, active patients, are getting less. But the important thing we have to learn is, if we think about the global situation where the developed countries, they have been experiencing that while the number of active patients are going down, the patients and the other people, the normal people who didn't have the disease, are not protective measures like wearing masks, maintaining social distancing, and as well as encouragement to get the booster vaccines and all. So with that, clearly experience that spreading of the disease got worse because of that, the lack of practicing health protective measures while the number of active cases are going down. So it's very, very important to comply, even though in our country we have to say, even though the number of active cases are going down at this stage, though all the people must be very much the vigilant and carefully they have to practice their health measures that they are practicing before.
A quick look now at the corona update in the US. United Airlines, citing a steep decline in COVID-19 cases, told staff that it will allow unvaccinated workers to return to their jobs starting from March 28th. Last August, United States health authorities said it would require US employees to be vaccinated against COVID or face termination. More than 96% of US workers were vaccinated. United Airlines had said that roughly 2,200 workers who received exemptions on medical or religious grounds would go on unpaid leave or be moved to non-customer facing roles.
On more news at home, State Minister Dr. Sudarshini Fernandes says that Sri Lankans who are living in African and Latin American countries should get malaria prevention drugs before 1 week of leaving the country. She has emphasized all those who have returned from such countries should get a blood test done if they get fever. State Minister Dr. Sudarshini Fernandes said that there are malaria carriers in the country, but there are no patients. Malaria parasites enter into the bodies of the people who travel in malaria-infected countries, and they bring the carrier into the country. That is why the health office at the airport pays attention on the countries they travel. There is a methodology to find if they come from such countries. When going for such countries of polyphyletic treatment is taken, one can get protected from the illness. If correct information is given, this can be controlled easily. It can become an epidemic if it is allowed to spread. The State Minister mentioned this during a discussion at the Government Information Department yesterday. Promise Initiative program over social media to prevent recurrence of malaria took place on the occasion. Mementos were presented to persons who are connected with malaria eradication movement representing various sectors. A group of people, including doctors and artists, attended the function. A Colombo Business Association organized a program to offer Lia Harasara cards. It has been organized at the Colombo Floating Market Complex to coincide with International Women's Day. Colombo Business Association has introduced a card which gives discounts at nearly 500 of their member organizations. Women officers in the Army, Navy, Air Force and Police were given cards on the occasion. The chief guest of the program was Prime Minister's wife, Mrs. Shiranthi Wickramasinghe Rajapaksa. She was presented with a memento on the occasion. We'll be back with international news after this break. Now, US says that North Korea is testing, that is an ballistic missile tests with a system that is called intercontinental ballistic missile system, and they're calling this as a system that is a threat, a serious act of breach of world peace.
The US says North Korea recently tested parts of a new intercontinental ballistic missile system in what is called a serious escalation. North Korea said the launches of 26 February and 4th March focused on developing a reconnaissance satellite, but the Pentagon now says the tests were experimental launches before a likely full-range ICBM launch with a minimum range of 5,500 kilometers. ICBMs can reach the United States mainland. They are designed for nuclear arms delivery. Pentagon spokesman John Kirby said North Korea's two tests involved a new intercontinental ballistic missile system. Neither launch displayed ICBM range or capability.
Welcome back. On sports, it's cricket, and the second test match is scheduled to be taken place in India, Bangalore at 2:30 p.m. and this will be between Sri Lanka and India.
India won the first test by an innings and 222 runs. Accordingly, India is leading the test series 1-0. It is reported that the participation of Pathum Nissanka is doubtful for tomorrow's match. "35-year-old Suranga Lakmal will play in the final test tomorrow against India." He expressed views to media about retiring from cricket. Arrangements have been made to train and develop esports players for the next 2 years. National and district competitions are scheduled to be held under the program. It has been organised by Dialogue and Sri Lanka Esports Association. That's it for the news this evening. Have a good night.